So I have a confession to make. Never in my life have I been more terrified of a light bulb than the first time I got to speak at a UN agency. And there I am, sitting at this long bench in front of a committee chair, and they introduce me, and boom, the light of my microphone turns on. And my heart is pounding, and my palms are sweaty, and my breathing becomes quicker and more shallow as my mind races, trying to figure out the first words to say. Now, at the time, I was an experienced researcher. This wasn't my first rodeo. I had presented at high-level conferences all over the world, but this was the first chance I had to be able to promote the rights of persons with disabilities at the United Nations. And so that meeting is pivotal for my career and for the work that I got to do. It was a chance that I and my team had to be able to take our research, the science that underpinned our advocacy, and put it into action. A few months prior, I got to meet an amazing individual who was leading a Google-funded project on indoor navigation for persons with visual impairments. And he invited me to do a series of simulations and experiments and to conduct research on the experiences of people with disabilities navigating complex indoor environments. And we did our research in some of the biggest tube stations in London and the largest shopping mall in Barcelona. And so when my team was invited by a committee at the United Nations focused on accessibility for people with disabilities, we were overjoyed, and it was the chance that we wanted to take our work and put it into practice. It was absolutely thrilling, but at the same time, the pressure was so intimidating. And I'm sitting there, my mind is reeling, trying to grasp the enormity of that moment. And I have no idea how the committee will receive our work. I have no idea the kinds of questions they are going to ask. I have no idea the kinds of criticisms that we may face at the end of this presentation. So I'm sitting there after the presentation, anxious to hear what the committee has to say about our work, because this was the scientific basis that we were providing to create and adopt an international standard on accessible indoor spaces. So after a few very stressful moments, the chair of the committee pauses, looks up, and calls the matter to a close. They had accepted my research as the foundation to develop a standard that would later be approved by every UN member country. That's 193 countries around the world approved this standard as the basis for ensuring that people with disabilities can access indoor environments. And of course, the irony wrapped up in all of this is that in that moment before I spoke, with all the years of expertise, all the work that had gone into this research, I felt like a child. I felt like a child standing up in class for the first time trying to present a book report. I had no idea that presenting to that committee was going to make me feel like a gladiator in the middle of an arena. Only that I would be absolutely useless with a sword, but I proved myself worthwhile just using my words. The thing I learned from this whole experience is that fear, anxiety, tension, and excitement and joy kind of go hand in hand. If we're going to create impact, we've got to take on risks. And whether that's the risk to your reputation, whether that's a risk to your own personal confidence and ego, or whether that's a risk of failure, we've got to take that step forward. And those steps don't necessarily always come in leaps and bounds. Sometimes they're the smallest step to just start a sentence. So I'll leave you with a question. What sentence are you waiting to start?